Welcome everyone to another week of Quilting On Together. I cannot wait to share an interview today with our quilting star Sue Nickels. Sue, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's really nice to be here and to talk with you all today.
Well, thank you for being here. I want to let everyone know that we're going to be giving you a video every Tuesday to give you a little bit of inspiration during this time when everyone's at home. So this is a great chance for me to get to chat with you all, and to see the people that I normally get to see at shows and who I'm missing a lot right now being in my home. So, Sue, we're so glad to have you. You will be teaching in Grand Rapids this year. And
That's right.
and I can't wait to see you then. But until then, can you show us around your space a little bit?
I can. Well, it's really great to show you where I work. And I have to chuckle always a little bit because I've always called my sewing space my sewing room, back in the old days. And I know now we call them studios, but I guess my husband and I talked about this. I think it's the size that determines whether it's a room or a studio. And I'm in the bedroom that was my daughter's. I have two daughters, and I took over one of the bedrooms when they moved out. And I've made it into a really nice sewing space, and it's my office also. I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I've lived in this house. We've lived here for over 40 years, and it's just a cozy, comfortable, compact space is what I call it. So I'm just going to show you around. So let me get my little device flipped around here, and I'm gonna just walk around my little space. So I have a sort of an office space as well as a sewing space, and this is where I do a lot of my work, and I've got a printer and my computer, and I get to look at my nice little bulletin board, which I did clean up a little bit. So you can see I've got lots of goodies up here to look at. And I'll show you the most important ones are my two little granddaughters, Stella and Mabel, who are 9 and 6. And then over here, I have I kind of refer to this as the beast, but it's my sit-down long arm, which I got a couple years ago, and I absolutely love it, but it takes up a lot of room. So it kind of fills the space, but perfect for quilting. My bigger quilts, and it's a sit-down, so it's just like working on a home machine. So all the concepts that I teach in my classes for machine quilting on a home sewing machine still relate to the bigger machine. It just has a bigger arm area that makes it nice and easy to move the quilt. And there's one of my patterns, a little quilt that I made called Ashley's Flower Basket. And then I have, lucky me, a second sewing space. And this is where I do all of my piecing and applique, and some of my smaller machine quilted projects are done on my home machine. And look at what I'm working on right now. I'm working on a mask. So I know a lot of us are making masks. I've done quite a few to give to family and friends. My sister, whose name is Pat Holly, you might recognize the name, is the rock star of mask making. She told me last night that she's made over 400 masks, and we can donate those to our local quilt shop, Ann Arbor Sewing Center, and they are giving them out to the hospitals and all that need them. So that's been a really nice thing. And I've been using batiks, and I just found a bunch of new batiks that are ready to go to make some more masks. One of the fun things that I have had, I guess I've been lucky to have a line of thread with superior threads. And my husband made me this great little shelf, and I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. How cool is that to have your name on spool of thread?
It's
So
amazing.
I've got all of the colors, and that's my little pristine section. Although I have had to go in and use some of those over time. So that's where I do all my sewing, my regular machine and my sit-down long arm. And then I have my little storage area. So I've got a little business center, and I do sell some things on my website. So I've got a little kind of storage area for that. And then this is the closet door that will not get opened today. So I did a little cleaning, but not in that room. And then my husband also made a nice little rack for all of my rulers. But here's a really fun nostalgic
I
thing.
recognize that.
that's hanging in my studio, or sewing room, and it's the Beatles quilt. And this is a poster. It was the best of show in 1998 that my sister Pat Holly and I worked on together. So that's one of our really proudest achievements, I would say, to win best of show at an AQS show back when there was just Paducah. We didn't have to say anything other than Paducah.
Other than Paducah. I remember, and I had the honor of getting to hang that last year as part of our 35th anniversary.
That's right. Yeah.
So I got to see it up close and personal, and it is just as beautiful as you think it is. You know, so the detail and everything's incredible. So that was really, really fun for me.
So even in my small space, I have a nice design wall, and I put some quilts up on the design wall that are finished, just so that you could see a few. But the quilt that we're looking at right now is from my ruler work classes, and the ruler work classes have been really super popular. And this is one that uses circles and ovals, so you can see some of the cool work you can do with rulers. And I've got a few more things to show you on rulers a little bit later. And I have a AQS books, and one of the most recent books I did is on feathers and fillers, and this is one of my quilts from the feathers and filler book. So that is how you design feathers and how you free motion quilt them on the home machine. And then look at this little beauty here. This is a Holly original, one of her miniatures that she made for me. Isn't that just fabulous? And I would say that's about 12, 13 inches square. So just an amazing amount of detail.
That's all applique. That's incredible.
Wow. Isn't that cool?
Well, and I want to go back for a second to your beautiful ruler work quilt down there, and the other one, and let everybody know that we're doing a couple different, maybe 2 or 3 different sessions of those in Grand Rapids, and Grand Rapids will be open for registration soon. We appreciate everyone's patience on that as we, try to figure out when the best time to open is, while everyone's not really sure about their travel plans. But we're looking forward to opening it soon, and you can definitely sign up for 1 or 2 of those ruler work classes.
Yeah, that's great. I know I'm so excited about that. And it's just been so much fun to work with rulers. It's kind of reinvigorated some of the machine quilting that's going on out there in the world. And then I put up some of my little instructor badges because it's the most fun I ever have is teaching at Quilt Week. This was Quilt Week Spring Paducah last year. So that was really fun. That was the 35th. Was that the 35th anniversary year?
Yes, last year was. I recognized that pin. We had a great time, a great celebration last year. So.
Yeah. So that's a little trip around my sewing room. So it's very compact, but it's really quite easy to work and create beautiful things. So I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you so much for that. I wanted to go back to a couple things you showed us just real quick and let everybody know, one, that we have been really lucky to start some of those sit down long arm machine classes at some of our shows on the Bernina Q20 machine. So we are offering those in Paducah and I think Grand Rapids this year. So people can try it out. And like you said, the things that you learn on that are comparable to your home sewing machine. So I'm glad you were able to show us one. It's really exciting to be able to work with those. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is your masks. And I noticed you said you were working with batiks. Can you tell us why batiks?
Well, I have been in contact with Kathy McNeil, who's another AQS instructor, and she's a retired nurse. She lives in the Seattle area, and I've been kind of going by some of the recommendations from people in the medical field that say that the batiks are more densely woven and that they're very good to use for masks. But actually, the Quilters cottons that we use are really good quality, and those are actually very good too. And the masks that we make with the cotton fabrics are not surgical quality masks. They're for us to wear when we're going out in the public. But they're pretty good with those fabrics as far as safety. Mhm.
Wonderful. Thank you. A lot of people have been asking us, when they're making masks, what is the best fabric to use? And those batiks are densely woven, and the quilters cotton is densely woven. It's just high quality fabric. So whatever you have that is,
Yeah,
has a nice tight weave is going to do a better job at keeping those particles out. So thank you for making those. And thank
yeah,
you at home if you're making masks. I want to remind you that if you are making masks, to send us a picture of you making those masks. And I will put my email address in the comments again on this video so that you can do that. And we want to honor you at the AQS Awards with the Kimberly Einmo's presentation. So if you'll do that, we would love to see it. And don't just send us the mask, let us see your face. So let us see you making those. And we thank you all for doing that.
great, great. And I've been, I ran out of elastic, so I've been doing them with the ties, which have been working great too. So you don't have to have the elastic per se. You can use ties, and some people have been using t-shirts cut in strips that are very comfortable also.
Perfect. Well, and I was wondering if you would show us what was under your needle over on that machine.
Yes,
Can
I
I see what you're
would.
working on?
Yeah, so I thought that I would show you a few of the things that I've been working on and kind of thinking about uh, since I've been home, which I travel a lot. So this, even though it's, it's hard to be sheltering in place, so to speak, I am in that age range of, that we need to not go out very much. So I didn't realize that, but yes, I'm over 60. So uh, but I've actually really enjoyed having some time at home to really concentrate on working on things that I don't usually have time to. So my sister Pat and I hold annual retreats in northern Michigan. They're in Elk Rapids, Michigan, and we do this every year. We do 4 weeks of retreats, and each year we have a theme. And this year the theme is sampler quilts. And so I'm working on a sampler quilt that Pat and I have put together, and I'll flip my phone around here so you can see. So this is a quilt that has 25 different blocks, and they are applique and piecing. And our goal is to teach really good technique. So we've got some nice piecing and applique concepts from, kind of simple applique, a little more complex, and then some just really nice kind of simple piece designs, and really a really fun project. So, so the sampler quilt is together, and I have basted it, marked it and basted it, and I'm ready to continue with the machine quilting of it. So, so I thought I would just talk briefly about kind of my process on when I work on a quilt. Does that sound good?
That sounds wonderful. Please, please do.
Okay. Okay, so on this quilt, I, of course, hang on a second. I like to incorporate feathers because, of course, that's one of the things that I love, and have written a book on, drafting your own feathers. So this quilt has some really pretty feathers out on the border. And I take the concepts that I teach in the book on feathers and fillers, and I design feathers to specifically fit into these areas. So I do all of my designing on tracing paper. And then once I get the design perfected, I darken it in with a Sharpie marker. And then before I layer and baste, I put these designs on a light box, and I trace them onto the fabric. So this is this little triangle area. So it's a really pretty feather with a nice little flower that I'm going to repeat through the whole project. And this is the border feather. And then this is the corner. So the corner was a little bit more complex. So you can see the design is all repeat. So I didn't have to draw, the whole 60 inches or whatever. And then I took these designs and I marked them with a fabric marking pencil. And I just thought I'd show you some of my favorite tools here. So what I use to mark are these Quilter's Choice marking pencils, and I actually had to use both colors. They come in white and they come in silver, and so the blue fabric seemed to work better with the white pencil, and the pink fabric seemed to work better with the silver pencil. So, so they're all marked. This is a marking pencil that rubs off over time. It's completely removable. And the other thing I want you to notice is this little piece that I'm showing you right here. So it's a little quilt sandwich, and it incorporates a lot of the fabrics that are in the quilt, so I can practice before I go to the actual quilt. So you can see there's a little practice feather here, and there's one here. Every thread that I use, I want to test if I like the colors. So there's real subtle color difference. There's 2 different colors of thread here, and I decided on one versus the other. So I don't leave anything to chance. I'm going to, you know, make sure that everything's perfect before I go to the actual quilt. Then what I like to do is do any straight lines first. So there's some stitching in the ditch. That was all done first throughout the whole quilt. And then I go back in and I do all of the free motion work. Now, typically you would think you would do all of the stitching on these outer borders after you do the center area. And I was a little afraid after working on the whole center area so much that my lines would start to wear off. So I went ahead and did the feathers first. And then I'll come back in and fill around those after I get going on the center. So, you know, very organized, kind of the way that I work on all of this. It's got one of my favorite threads, which is Aurifil. I'm ready to work on some of the stitching around the applique. So I've got the tan, the sort of off-white color thread. And I'm ready to go to work on those applique and piece blocks now. So anyway, so that just kind of shows you, and my nice big Q20 gives me all the room to be able to manage the bulk of the quilt pretty easily with the quilt nice and supported. So that works out great.
Thank you for showing us that. I love those custom feathers and the little flowers that you put in them. That just gives them such a unique touch. And and it's so funny how you know, everybody has their own style, because we talked to Judy Madsen a couple of weeks ago and asked her, you know, do you go around and do you stitch in the ditch first? And she's like, not really, you know. And so everybody, whatever works for you, you know, you might do it differently than Judy, you might do it differently than Sue, and you know, whatever style works for you and helps you out the most. You know, we're here to inspire you, but you can change it up a little bit. So obviously you are both master quilters, and it works both ways. And I wanted to mention, I see that you pin basted it. Do you have, I mean, is that your preference, or is it better than another for any reason?
Yeah. Okay. Let me just comment real quickly on what you said about everybody has their own kind of style and their own methods. And that's one of the great things about taking classes from different teachers, is that you can get different concepts and then you find what works best for you. So I've always been a big believer that there's not one right way to do it. It's my way or the highway, so to speak. We all kind of find what works best for us. And then you, as the student, can figure out what works best for you. So I think that's a really good point that you made. And I have always been a pin baster, a safety pin baster. So oops, let me reverse this again. So you can see I use their size 1, and they're the curved pins, and I put pins about every 3 inches. Some of them have already come out because I've been, you know, quilting on it. You know, I have always just loved pin basting. I feel like I get really good results. It is a little bit of a pain on the bigger quilts because I have to lay it out. I lay it out on the floor and I, you know, put all the pins in. I like to measure everything. I like to make sure, you know, the basting is done really, really well. But that's what I still use is the safety pins. So that's my favorite.
Perfect. Yes, and I know there's all kinds of different methods now for that, and that's why I wanted to ask. So it looks, I mean, obviously it works well for you, and you know, if you're willing to get down there and measure it and everything, I think I would.
I know. I think I've got to figure out, as you know, as we're getting older, it's getting harder to do that. Figure out maybe an alternate method here eventually. So, yes. So if we have time, I have some other things I'd love to show you.
Yes, I would love to see them. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little moving of some things here. So I did practice this. So let's see if I can get this to move out of the way easily here. Okay, so that looks good. Okay. So what I thought I would talk about for a minute is some of the ruler work stuff that I've been doing. So this is one of the projects from the classes that I teach. This is kind of the basic ruler work. And this uses two specific rulers. I provide rulers in my classes to share so that you don't have to actually purchase the rulers. You can decide if you like it or not. And after doing ruler work classes for a while, I decided that I would like to have maybe my own ruler that might work more specifically for what I'm doing. So Bernina has a ruler set that I've been using. Quilters Rule is a company that makes the rulers for the Bernina set. So I contacted Quilters Rule, and I'm getting some of my own rulers. So let me show you the first one, and these are the prototypes. So these are what I've been playing with, and let's see where you can see these they're because they're clear. They're sometimes hard to see. But this one, obviously, it has my name on it. I don't know how well you can see that. Oh, that's better.
Oh, yeah, we can see that.
So it's very similar to the one that I've been using. It has a curved edge at the top, and then it's used for straight lines. But I wanted the straight line ruler to be a little shorter so that it would fit on a typical home machine. So we do all of our straight lines with this, and then we do some of these curves with the top edge. So I'm really excited. I've added some registration lines that I thought that were needed that make it a little bit easier to get it positioned properly. So this is the prototype. It might change a little bit. It's got stitches out a 3-inch half circle on one side and a 2.5-inch on the other. So that's going to be my ruler, which will be, I think, a great addition. And then you saw the circles and ovals. So this is the one from the class, the circles and ovals project that you saw on my wall. And this uses some specific rulers from the Bernina ruler set. And this is my more advanced ruler class that I have been working on. And this uses circles. And I felt like I wanted a more specific type of a circle ruler. So this is, you know, kind of the drafting of the size of what this project is going to be. But I am going to, this is kind of my most fun, are they're segments of circles. So this will stitch out a 6-inch circle, and then it goes 7, 8. This is a 9-inch circle. So you stitch a quadrant of it, and you can see it kind of lines up with its registration marks. And then with rulers, you're always stitching a 1/4 inch away from the ruler itself. So I put a little disc here. So that's going to stitch out just like that, going all the way around. And then you turn it every 1/4 turn. And it's a really nice way to make these circles at the home machine. Some of the long arm machines have total circles, but on a home machine, it's a little hard to manage that. So I'm really excited about some of the new rulers that I'm going to have. So.
Yes, and they look to me like I feel a lot less intimidated about ruler work quilting, you know, looking at that. And I know that a lot of our members and a lot of the people who come to our shows are really interested in ruler work quilting because you know, just quilting a quilt on your home machine is intimidating. It can be. And I know that you for many years have taken that fear out of it and helped our students learn. So there's a reason that your classes fill so quickly, because I can tell that even I feel a little bit at ease looking at this and knowing that you can probably teach me how to do it. And I'm just a beginner quilter. So I'm excited for you for those rulers, and I'm excited for when they're fully finished and out.
Yeah, I'm hoping by Grand Rapids that they'll be ready to go. So that's exciting. So, anyway, that's what I've been working on. Those are the things: quilting my quilt and getting some of my new rulers, I guess, tested out, and then getting the prototypes into the real production. So yeah, so I'm looking at that. So that's what I've been working on. But I have to tell you that because I travel a lot, I don't have a lot of time at home to clean, and I've been doing a little cleaning, which is a little dangerous, and I have found some fun things that I thought I might show you. So
I always discover long lost treasures when I actually get down and clean. Let's see what you found.
Well, let me get my table organized here so that it's a little bit easier to see. So I found some pictures of some things that are kind of fun. And I also, you know, trying to reduce kind of the stuff that you keep. I was keeping all of these old calendars, AQS calendars. So I found, I kept them because they have some of my quilts and Pat's quilts in them. And so I just was tearing out just the pictures of our quilts. So I thought I'd give you a little overview of that, kind of in order of as these quilts were done. So you saw the Beatles quilt. So, let me flip here. Sorry about that. So this is an article that was about the Beatles quilt, the rock and roll quilts of Pat Holly and Sue Nickels. Here's an old picture of us. How about that?
Oh my goodness.
But I found this great photo of Pat and I. Look at that.
Oh,
Isn't that great? So
wow.
that's
That's gorgeous with your
when
quilt.
we when we won Best of Show, and we had those beautiful flowers that were given to us, and we were really surprised when we won Best of Show. It was we never expected that, and it's kind of an unusual quilt. And anyway, it was just such a fun evening, and just we just love AQS, and it was just such a great thing to win. And a cute story. I'm pretty sure we were the first two-person quilt to win Best of Show. So that is more common now, to have a two-person, two people work on a quilt. And Pat and I, some people do where one person makes a top and the other one quilts it. But we worked on the quilts totally. The design and all of the applique and the piecing was totally a duo. We did that all together. So it was really fun because that you get chairs when you win the big awards. AQS gives you a chair with your name on it, and it says Best of Show. And Bill, I love Miss Bill, decided that he had to have two chairs. So he quickly had a second chair made.
Oh,
So that Pat and I each have our own chairs from the Best of Show
of
quilt
course.
here. So that was so cute that he did that. So anyway, so that's a really nice memory of that time together. And there's one of my books right there. So and then my next quilt that was in a calendar was this quilt. And this is I named it. Pat always told me, don't name it this name because you'll have to say it forever. Le panier de fleurs. And it means the flower basket in French. And this is a memory. This quilt won one of the big awards at the first auxiliary show that AQS had, and it was in Nashville. So it was 2000, I think was the year, 2000 or 2001, I can't remember exactly. But it won a third place. And the funny story from this actual winning was, you get a call when you win. I got a call from Bonnie Browning, and she wanted to know if I was going to come to the show because my quilt had won a big award. Well, and I said, oh, well, what did it win? And she said, well, it won a third place. And I'm like, oh, okay. And, she's like, Sue, you need to be a little more excited about that. And I was thinking of, which I would be excited to win any award at an AQS show, but I was thinking of, like in Paducah, you would win a first, second, or third, and it's still a money award. But the big awards are, Best of Show, machine workmanship, those kind of things. But this show, they did differently. They just gave four big awards, and I won third place, and it was $7,500. And once she said that, I'm like, whoa.
You're like, woohoo!
I'll be there. So, and then I found a great picture from way back of me in front of the quilt. So there's another fun thing. And then Pat and I have another award-winning quilt that's in the museum, and this is the Space Quilt, and it won machine workmanship in 2004. So this was in the calendar that I put that out of. And then we have another quilt that has won awards, and this is called Tea at Tenby, and it's a joint quilt that Pat and I made. So there's that one. And then this is our quilt called Two of Us, and it won machine workmanship in 2014, and it's also in the museum. So that's kind of fun to look at that. And then a couple of Pat's, you already saw her beautiful miniature that I have, but these are a couple of her miniatures that have won and are probably in the collection of the museum. So that was fun to go through all of the calendars and kind of do a little trip down memory lane. So.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for showing that. I love seeing all the different quilts, and those pictures are just amazing, to see back when you won and everything. And I want to say, not a lot of people can say that they have multiple quilts in the National Quilt Museum. So what an honor.
We definitely, feel so fortunate, and what it is such a huge honor. Some people say, how can you give up your quilt? And it's like, it's in the best place it can ever be, is in the museum. And to support the National Quilt Museum is always a good thing to do, especially during these times when the museum can't be open. So we
Yes,
want to support
yes.
the National Quilt Museum, definitely. So,
Well, and I want to ask you back on those quilts. You know, you have some that look more traditional, but then you have the Beatles quilt and the Space Quilt and things that are totally different, you know, than what you would normally see. And I want to ask, how do you and Pat come up with those ideas, or how are you inspired? Was it something specific, or did you just want to do something different?
oh my gosh, that's a really great question. Um, so the Beatles quilt was we had made a quilt together called Blackbird's Fly, which was, I think, in the 1996 AQS show, and it won like a third place. And we decided that, oh, we really like working together and that we'd like to make another quilt. And we were listening to a program called the Beatles Anthology, and it was playing all this Beatles music. And we were starting to reminisce about growing up. It was like the music that we grew up with when we were basically in elementary school, middle school, and high school.
Sure.
And it was just so much fun reminiscing that we said, let's make a quilt about the Beatles music. And it just kind of exploded from there. So it was, you know, became a much bigger project than we had ever imagined. But it was so much fun. It took us about 2 years, and we did a lot of research. And then the same thing. Oh, that was really fun. What could we do next for our next kind of, we feel like they're kind of pop culture kind of quilts.
Absolutely.
Um, and another, you know, one of those really great memories of looking back on our, you know, our younger years was thinking about the space program. Our dad was a Air Force fighter pilot in World War II, and he just followed the space program from the very beginning. And so we kind of made the space quilt in honor of our dad. I always say that he feels like if he had stayed in the Air Force, maybe he would have been an astronaut. You know, he was one of those fighter pilots that had that, you know, kind of, you know, adventuresome kind of side. So,
Sure,
so
sure.
that again, we did a lot of research on that. And yeah, so those are, you know, very specific kind of subjects that we did a lot of planning. But I love just traditional quilts. So a lot of my, you know, I love traditional applique. So the flower basket quilt was done after I did the Beatles quilt. And it was kind of like I had to go back to that kind of the root of, you know, what I love in quilting. So
Uh, Well, thank you. Thank you for letting us know about that, because I always wonder how quilters get their ideas. And you know, you can follow a pattern, or you could make something original. And we get to see so many incredible quilts that I mean, I would never ever think of, I'm going to make that, you know, and then it will win a huge award or something. So we're glad that you're quilting. If you're out there and you have an idea for something and you think, that might not be, you know, what's popular right now, go ahead and make it. Go ahead. We want to see it, and we want to see it in our contest. So continue
that's
to
right.
those
Yeah.
quilts into those quilts, because you never know.
You never know. I mean, that's the thing about, I always encourage people, what have you got to lose to enter, you know? And what I remember, the first big quilt show I entered was AQS, I think in 1986 or 87. I was super naive. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just send my slides in, and I got in. It's like it was the best thing ever. And then I went to the show with friends, and it started you know, a whole tradition of going to the AQS show in Paducah, which, by the way, was sad to miss it as I'm going through all my pictures and looking at, you know, we used to take pictures of every quilt and every show every year, and basically I got rid of some of those. I don't think I need 30 years of pictures of every quilt, but anyway, yeah, we certainly missed it, and we look forward to continuing the tradition once we get through all of this madness that we're going through.
Yes.
So
Yes, I have to say, seeing the picture of you and Pat holding your flowers just made me a little emotional, because usually
yeah,
this time of year we're awarding
I
those.
know.
And
Yeah,
so I know you're unable to make it in September, but with everybody else, we are looking forward to welcoming you in Paducah once all this has blown over. So.
yeah, yeah, very, very true. So yeah, so that's good.
Well, I have one more question for you, and then I'm going to let you go on with your day. But first, let me tell you, thank you so much for being here with us today, for sharing your space and letting us kind of see a sneak peek of what you're working on. It's been really a pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure too. It's been wonderful.
So I want to ask, I've been asking our other quilt makers, other than quilting right now, and you know, we're all kind of coming up with new hobbies. I have baked a lot. I baked, last night I made a Jewish apple cake, and 2 nights
Oh,
ago I made banana bread. So I'm just like staying busy in the kitchen.
nice,
So,
nice.
is there anything that you're doing to other than quilting to kind of, you know, bring a smile to your face right now?
Yes. Well, I've been we've been doing a lot of things. My husband has actually been doing the baking. He's been doing lots of great new things, which is wonderful. And we've been doing puzzles. So we've been, I saw AQS was advertising a puzzle, and I'm going to have to order that. Yeah, we need to do that puzzle. The puzzles are kind of a fun thing. You can only watch the news and all of that for so long. You just got to look away and do something else. So, but I will tell you the thing that has been keeping us busy every morning, every weekday morning. I have two granddaughters. I mentioned Stella, who is 9, about to be 10, and Mabel, who today is turning 7. So she had her 7th birthday on May 5th. She's Cinco de Mabel. Anyway, so my son-in-law and daughter are working from home, of course, and trying to do homeschooling and all of that. So we've been trying to help out, and Mabel, we FaceTime with Mabel every morning from 9 to 10, sometimes it's from 8 to 10. And so I've been thinking of, what we could do to kind of fill that time. And so I've been drawing or coloring with Mabel those mornings, and she usually says, Grandma, why don't you draw today a ladybug and a dolphin or something, these kind of bizarre things. And so I'm going to show you some of the pictures that I've been drawing, and then she draws on her end.
Oh, yes.
It's been really fun. And when you sit on the phone for 1 to 2 hours with a 7-year-old now, it's nice to have something to keep yourself occupied. Let me show you a few of the so I really have quite a few. This was day 1, actually. I promise I'm not going to show you all of them. I've kind of paper clipped them. So she wanted me to draw cupcakes. So there's cupcakes. This was butterfly. This was a day of butterflies. Oh, this was an interesting one. This was a violin, a mermaid, and a goat. So there we go. So there's our violin and mermaid and a goat. Emojis. That one was a little hard for me. I'm not too good at emojis. Oh, this was the dolphin and the ladybug. So this was Easter. I did an actual Easter kind of card for them to show them that. She wanted to do little girls. So this is the flower girls. This was a kitten and a bunny. So there's our kitten and bunny. Unicorn. Horses are hard. Mabel, I had to say, Mabel, they're kind of hard to draw. So you just do the best you can. These are cats. Those are all cats. Yep. This is a toddler and a baby and a mommy. Of course, the new Trolls movie came out, so we had to do Poppy.
Of course.
These are our birds. These are a tribute to Pat Holly, who loves to do these cool birds. These are dancing girls in front of a castle. Here's a fun one: fruit in a bowl. Grandma, draw a pineapple. Draw an apple. Draw a grape. Panthers. So that was an interesting request. This was birds in a garden. Oh, and then I went to art school, and I have not done a lot of real drawing, but Mabel said she wanted me to draw her. So this was an attempt to get back into those drawing skills. This is her American Girl dolls. So she wanted me to draw Ladybug and her American Girl dolls. This is for Mabel's birthday. So this is her birthday.
Happy birthday, Mabel.
So that's what we'll just end with, Mabel's birthday, because it's today. So
so that's sweet.
So that's what we've been having a lot of fun doing, and it keeps us both busy, and it's just been really we'll look back on this, and it's good to have some documentation of what's going on with everybody. We don't think about so me as a grandma and a quilter, and I've got my own kind of things to think about, but I do have to say that I think that the parents with kids at home that are schooling, they are doing just such a great job, and it's just a tough time to be doing that, and they miss their friends and all the interactions. But boy, my kids are doing great. So I really feel that they need to have a lot of shout outs. And my daughter Ashley is a teacher also, and she teaches in the San Francisco Bay Area, so she's doing it from that end of the spectrum. And speaking of Ashley, can I just throw one more little thing in here?
Of course.
Okay, so Ashley is also a quilter and a quilt teacher, and she one of her quilts is in my room, and I just don't want to forget to show you that this is Ashley's quilt that she made. She does painted surface, and she does a lot of free motion stitching. And so I have one of her quilts I'm so fortunate to have. And she actually has a book on free motion quilting too. So so just give a shout out to Ashley. So
Oh, how beautiful. I love that. I love the colors and everything in
yeah,
that.
it's
Gorgeous.
really, really, really very pretty. So so anyway, yeah. So
Well,
just
you know,
thank
if
you
if
so much.
if you ever decide to do something other than quilting, although we hope you won't, you can have a career in coloring book publishing.
Coloring book.
Because
Yeah, there
when
you
you
go.
first told me that first one, I thought she said she was drawing these, and you are. They're so cute, and I know
Yeah.
you'll continue to have fun with Mabel. And from everyone at AQS, happy 7th birthday to Mabel.
That's great. She'll love that. So
Well,
yeah.
thank you again. Thank you again for everything. It's been so nice to get, get to chat with you. And I always say I'm always just kind of talking to my husband and my 2 dogs right now. So it's been really
Yeah.
nice to talk.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's nice to talk to, yeah, to somebody else.
Somebody on the
So,
outside.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So everybody just hang in there. We'll get through this and we'll all be quilting together again, I'm sure, shortly.
Absolutely. So if you're at home, continue quilting. I hope you got a little bit of inspiration. And I want to let you know that her books, all your books too, or at least a couple of them, and patterns that we have on shopaqs.com. So if you want to visit that and take a look, you can get some more information and maybe come up with something to make yourself right now at home.
Great. Thanks so much. It was good talking to you, Liz.
It's good talking to you, Sue. Bye. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.